What's going on, y'all? Welcome to our channel. I'm V.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Goodtime.
And today we're going to be having a conversation surrounding discipline. Now, I'm sure you guys saw the story that was in the news lately about the mom from Texas who went to her son's school to discipline him. Now, we're not going to be talking about her in particular, but we're going to be talking about the circumstances surrounding that particular story. It is a conversation that I do not believe we have in our community, let alone, in our own households. So we wanted to have a conversation and let you guys be the fly on the wall to hear our thoughts and our opinions and our beliefs on discipline. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's go ahead and get this conversation rolling. Of course, if you did see the story, then you can guess that we're going to be talking about levels of right and wrong when it comes to disciplining your child and like the physical aspects of it. I'm a mom of 4 boys. I have physically disciplined my children, but within the last few years, I'll probably say like within the last maybe 2 years, I have did a whole revamp on what I believe to be
Discipline.
Right or wrong when it comes to discipline. And
I think it's such a touchy subject because the way we grew up as Black people, we never think of like a whooping being something. We know it's bad, but we don't think of it being something that could be traumatizing to kids and things like that. I personally don't have kids, so my view on discipline is a little different, I guess it would be, compared to you all, being that you all have children.
Yeah, and me, I'm a new mom, baby. Literally, it's only 3 months old, so we haven't, gotten to that point where I've had to discipline her. But I still just have my own ideas on discipline just from being the way that I was raised and knowing how my mother was raised and, how their mother was raised. I think that in our community, especially being Black people from the South, that when we think of discipline, we do think of the physical aspects of it, and I think that we're not as sensitive to it because that's what we're used to. So, just when I raise my daughter and we get to that level, to that point, I already know that I don't intend to do it the way a lot of people, people in my past have done it.
I don't know. I personally think, because we definitely have gone through this, I don't think there's nothing wrong with a kid having a whooping. I don't think it's bad. I think it's a level of it. Like, I think at some time you can't always whoop them. But I feel like it goes both ways. Even if you stick them in a corner, they can feel like that's a part of imprisonment. So it just depends on what kind of child you have. Being that I don't have any kids, I guess it is a little different. But like with my niece, raising her, she's not a kid you could whoop. It'll be so pointless in beating her because she gets nothing out of it because she's not even bad. She doesn't have a smart mouth. She's not like a troubled child. Mm-hmm. So whooping her would be so it would be so out of the norm for her.
Yeah.
But my nephew, on the other hand, he's more rebellious and more like a show me type of person. Mm-hmm. Some kids, I feel like depending on how they are, their personalities would determine on the type of actions. Like even with me when I was younger, my mother didn't have to whip me, but my brother, he's a shower. Like you have to really show him that you can't play with him.
And just going to what you're saying, sometimes for what works, like you said, for what works for one child may not work for another. Because you even have kids who you can beat them all day. Not saying anybody should be beating a child all day, but you can spank them, beat them, and they won't change their behavior at all. Mm-hmm. But I think that you have to get to the root to the problem and, learn how to talk to your children. Just beating them without talking to them, letting them know, this is what the issue is. A lot of times when people whoop their children, they do it out of anger. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get a quick reaction. Mm-hmm. But rather than actually teaching, I think that's the part that a lot of times we lose. Yeah, we don't actually teach.
Yeah, and I want to touch on what you just said and what you just said. You just said whooping and you said beating, and that's where I have the issue. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between whooping your child, spanking your child, and beating your child. I have an issue with people that beat their children. I have an issue with people who put their hands on children. Grown adults should not have to put their little hands on their children. They just shouldn't, especially with hitting children in their face. I know a lot of us have been told, or we've all been, oh, my mama should have slapped me in my mouth, or I've been popped in my mouth. I don't like that. I don't like it. I just don't, because, you know, when we look in the mirror, we look at our face. So to put your hands on somebody's face, I just don't like that idea, especially for a kid.
I agree with that. I think that is. I don't think I never got a whooping in my mother never popped me in my mouth ever in my life. I've never been popped in my mouth before.
I got popped in the mouth.
No, I've never been popped in my mouth, even
Really?
and I got a mouth.
Yeah.
But she never did that. I ain't never had that. But I never got in trouble. Like, I wasn't bad. Like, I was more like, if I did something, it was because my brother was over there telling me to do something. I never was the one that would look to be bad. Like, oh, let me do this, because I know it's everything I'm not supposed to do. So I don't know, maybe that's why I didn't ever get whoopings, and I don't think nothing's wrong with it. But I do know, like, I just feel like some kids, you have to, like, bro, you trying it. Like, you know how you got to the last inch of what you, because my nephew, he will try you.
Yeah.
Like, he will try to see how far he get. I can say he honestly doesn't do it with me, but like when he's with my sister, girl, he a whole nother person.
Yeah.
And you just be looking at him like, I know he did not just act like this. And he only does it with her.
Yeah.
So with your nephew, okay, so with that being said, because your nephew, he's still like technically a baby, your nephew's 3.
Yeah, he's 3.
The fact that you can recognize that he will do that with one person and not another, that clearly shows that it's something that this person is doing, that child has calculated in their mind that I can get away with this. So this is where behavior comes in.
I think my issue with you know, the whoopings and things like that, just going back, and the reason why earlier in the video I said Southern and then also Black, you know, a lot of it, and it's just the honest God truth, a lot of it comes from the fact that you know, people from African descent, our ancestors were enslaved, and a lot of it, I think, comes from, you know, that's the way it was done back in then. You know, a lot of times the slaves, they were used as an example. They would be whooped. Of course, we know they were whooped and everything, but sometimes they would be put into a public situation where the other slaves would see this slave made an example of. And I think when I saw that video of that mom beating her child, that was just way too far. That was way too far. And it's like, you can't expect a child, think about it, this child has to grow up. That's an abuse. It's more than just the physical aspect of it, but it's also mentally. Emotionally. You're trying to raise a young man, a young king. And you know, if that was what he grew up on, and that's what he sees, those same things.
Grow up and love a black woman.
It's that, and then it's also, I mean, you can't expect your child not to be violent, not to express their emotions and things, not physically, if that's how they were raised as a child to that extent. And even what we're saying, you know, that mother, she called her son a nigga, straight up. She was calling her child a nigga. She was calling him a MF for all this other stuff. All of that stuff plays on the psyche. So, you know, I believe that it's okay when they're little or they're at a certain age to spank, you know, a little hand pop, you know, whatever. It's fine. But the main thing is teaching and recognizing what type of child you have. And, you know, sometimes you have to take things away. For some kids, you know, it's the thing of, okay, I have to take away your cell phone. I have to do this. Whatever gets their attention. But to the extent that particular video went, I think that's definitely too far.
I do think she went too far. I do feel like I understand her concept and her understanding of it, but I would have more respect if it was a situation where, because in my head, when I first seen the video, I was instantly like, she just got off of work and had to come up to her school because you're in school doing something you ain't got no business doing. So that is what I initially took my mind to. I can definitely understand a mother getting off of work, having to leave their job to come and tend to you at school when your only job as a child is to go to school. And I personally wouldn't have had a problem with it had she would have taken him out of the cafeteria, taken him to his teacher, and told him to apologize to his teacher. Then if she would have took him to the bathroom and spanked him, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
But I do feel like she took it too far, but I don't feel I can I feel like she took it too far, but I don't feel like what she did was wrong. Only because I feel like she should have. I feel like if she was if she was a working mother and not like, I don't want to say ghetto because I don't know what that lady necessarily had going on.
Yeah.
She could have been tired of his teacher calling. She could have been at her wit's end of, him getting phone calls home. Because I know kids who get phone calls home every single day. And, maybe it could be the child. Maybe it could be the situation they're in.
Okay, well, again, we said we wasn't going to really talk about her, but hey, let's talk about it. According to her, because she got on live after that happened, according to her, she said that her son's school called and the teacher said that he threatened to kill her. But what we heard in that video was that she told her son that if he didn't stop doing X, Y, and Z, you gonna stay in your room until you die, nigga. So it's like, where do you think, if he did threaten to kill his teacher, of course that is wrong and that needs to be addressed. However, when we go back to the root of where that came from, I can't guarantee, but it's highly likely that he got that from home. Mm-hmm. So to think that the fix it is to beat the child, it's like, no. And of course, if you are a mom who has to constantly get phone calls, and you have to constantly beat your child, then obviously you constantly beating your child is not the answer. You need to find out what's going on in your child's head and what's going on in your child's heart. And that's what's being a mother. You are not being a mother by beating your child. Like,
that's true. I would definitely try to see what is wrong and what is the reason for it. Why would you even come out your mouth and say something like that? But
if she,
as far as him saying, now what I'm saying is, had she not have been that extra, I do feel like she went way too overboard. She was real dramatic, too ghetto. I'm not even going to try to downplay the fact that she did all that, because she did way too much. Like, honey, it's okay to beat your baby. It's okay to want to discipline your child. It's okay to try to show him the right way. And maybe as a woman or just as a person in general, she didn't know any other way. So I can even understand that too. So I don't want to downplay her or to even make her feel as if she doesn't have an opinion of her own on how she should raise her child, because you can't tell somebody that. But I do feel like had she would have taken more time and effort into what she did and how she handled the situation, it wouldn't have seemed so bad. Like, I don't feel like just because he does need his ass for saying that you're going to kill your teacher. Now, granted, after I beat your ass, I'm going to sit and talk to you, and we're going to figure out why you said that, like what's going on. But at that moment, if I got to leave my job because you up here threatening the teacher, there's going to be a repercussion. I just feel like, me personally, I can understand that mindset. I can also understand where you're saying we need to have a conversation, because it does. Like, definitely, we do need to talk about it. We do need to understand why would he say he wants to kill his teacher? Why does he even think that killing somebody is okay? Where do you even get the thought that you could say those words to another human? Because that's not normal. That's not okay.
He got it from the same woman who told him
that
you gonna sit in your room until you die, nigga.
No, until you, basically she's telling him you gonna stay in your room because you trying me.
You're speaking to an undeveloped mind.
That doesn't, we know just because just being around and gotten older and just knowing how people talk, what she mean. But at the same time, at that age, what you do is very impressionable on your child and their behavior. Now, I understand what you're saying, Raven. I do. I fully understand what you're saying, that, at the moment where this child has been disrespectful, that mother, in her mind, the right choice was to discipline him where he was at. And then, if she would have thought about it a little bit deeper and went into a little bit more depth, then maybe, you know, actually got to the root and all that other stuff. At the same time, it ain't what shoulda and coulda got done, is what happened.
Hold on.
Okay, yeah. Let me go to bed.
Had she not been so aggressive, it wouldn't have made the situation so bad. Like, I just feel like parents, I feel like as adults, when you have so much, I couldn't even imagine, to be honest, because me personally, knowing everything that I've gone through, I couldn't imagine having to take care of somebody else on top of my own personal mind and what I go through on a day-to-day basis. So I can understand her energy. I can understand her frustration. I can understand where she's coming from with it. And I personally, I don't like beating somebody down for when they're already wrong. I can only imagine what that lady going through when in her head, all she was trying to do was show her son not to be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like
disrespecting him?
No, Kendra, not disrespecting him, but in her mind, as a mother, what she felt like she was doing was showing him not to be disrespectful. She's not thinking that she's necessarily disrespecting him because that is what she's seen.
Yeah,
so she's doing what she's
back
seen.
to the root. And that's the thing. I think that especially in our community, that we have to find another way. And I know this might be on the extreme end of things. Like sometimes for some children, something like counseling, and a lot of times we don't even really, it's taboo in our community to talk about mental health and things like that. Because there are so many generational curses and things that goes on. You know, like you say, I mean, she may be a struggling mother. We really don't know the story behind it. But you can tell from the energy that she's giving off that, like she was saying that, you know, I had to come off my job, this, that, and the other. You know, just trying to get to a place where maybe she needs some counseling or somebody to talk to the vet. You know what I'm saying?
I think she does. I think that's where I feel like certain situations don't cause for internet attention. Because she's a woman who you could tell she needs some type of help. She needs to have an understanding. Even she had 5 kids. They said she got other kids. So I can imagine you got all these other kids and you trying to be a mother and you trying to pay her bills. I can only imagine the type of stress that she's under. Not gonna okay it and say that it's okay.
What's up, mama for?
I'm mama for. And I just feel like if you get that stressed, then like the children didn't just come here. You brought these children here, and you brought these children into your stressful situation. So you can't take it out on them. You just can't. Like I don't have that level of understanding. I mean, if that's the case for her, that's the case for her. I can't say that that's not the case, but I don't have an understanding for that because, for example, if your light's gonna get cut off, if you're behind on bills, the light's gonna get cut off, and you're stressed out, pulling your hair out, that's the issue. That is the issue. That is the issue. Those children do not create those issues. Beating those children isn't going to solve the issue. Now, again, have I spanked my children before? Yes. Have I whipped my children before? Yes, I have. But have I, came and grabbed my children by their shirt and he's looking like, I'm sorry, but going back to slavery because she did his feet in the cafeteria. His feet came off the ground and she was holding him by his shirt. To me, he looked hung. I did not like that. So would I go to that extreme? No. I do not have an understanding for that. I just do not, because this is and it's not like, not saying that this will make it right, but it's not even like he's 10 or 11 or 12 or 13. He was 7. He was a first grader, and to pick him up by his shirt like that, and I don't. And to whip him like that, and he's holding his face, so you hit him in the face with that belt. I do not have no understanding for that. I just don't. And then when she reached back, I guess she thought she hit the teacher. She quickly, and continued to be. So you can step outside yourself for a minute. You can apologize for hitting this woman behind you, but continue to beat your child, and he's holding his face. I don't have no understanding for that. I don't. I just don't.
I understand what you're saying. I completely do understand. I definitely agree. She went too far. I definitely agree that it didn't take all that because he's still a child. But I also can understand her reason. I can understand what she did. I can understand how she went about it. I can even understand how it could come to that. Because if you don't have your own understanding of what you got going on in your life by yourself, imagine taking care of 5 other kids. You're not even in a mental place to do that. So you're already going to be wrong. It's an unfortunate situation that can show how generation from generation you could really be messing up, how you can mess up somebody, how your life can be messed up. And I'm just saying, that's just like putting somebody in jail who their whole life been raped, and then they gonna rape somebody. That's not changing the fact that he got raped when he was young, and now you put him in jail because he done raped somebody. That's all he know. No, he needs to go to counseling. He needs to go get fixed. He needs to go figure out what's wrong with him that made him do him or her made him do whatever. So I just feel like it's just certain situations. I don't know.
And at the end, I think at the end of basically what I'm saying, I just feel like I can't understand how it's possible that she got to that. And just because probably that's the way she grew up. But the main thing is to, even if you at a place of being stressed and, your kids getting on your nerves, you have to still take a moment and, kind of de-stress before you actually act on discipline, because you can easily take it too far. And in this here world right here, where you have social media, you have everybody got a camera, it's unfortunate, well, depending on what angle you're looking at it from, that she lost her kids. But then again, is it unfortunate that she lost her kids if that's the way she she raised them and stuff? Yeah. But the main thing is, even when children take you to that place, you still have to, in my opinion, as a parent, still learn how to teach, learn how to facilitate an environment of nurture. All of those things are still important, even when you're upset, to still, maintain love, because that right there, I mean, I'm not saying she don't love her children, but at the same time, like, she's messing them up. Like, she's messing them up in the end with some of the things that was said and then the action that was taking place.
What do you guys think should be her consequence for what she did? I feel like the kids being taken away doesn't help the situation no better. Because now those are kids that are taken out of their home of their mother, that's still their mother. We don't know how she is with them at home. We don't know what kind of mother she is at home. We don't know that. So I would never for one, no.
If you publicly can go to that extreme behind closed doors, you're doing a little worse.
And then go home and get on live and double down on what you did. Yeah. That's the kind of mother that you are. And she said that. Yeah. She said, I don't know about y'all, but I beat my kids. I do what I want to do with my kids. And that's another thing I want to talk about. This whole thing about, I can't tell nobody how to raise their kids. It's like, no, you can't. But when something is wrong, call it out. Mm-hmm. Call it out. Yes, you can call it out.
And it's like, I mean, I get people want to, tend to their own business, but at the same time,
you don't agree with that?
I just don't think the kids being taken away from her is the answer to that problem. I think she does need to go to counseling. I think she needs to find help. I think she needs to see what caused her reaction to be that and why she thinks it's okay to beat her kids. I think
while she's finding that out, who's going to keep her kids?
She could be with her kids. You can definitely work on yourself and be with your kids. I don't care what type of situation a child is in. Children love their parents. Regardless of how they treat them, the way they act towards them, whatever it could be. I don't feel like taking kids out of their home, you know what that does to a child? To be away from their mother.
The way the situation is toxic, though. It's toxic.
It is true. That is true.
But I would rather take those children. I mean, not
necessarily.
But
what if they're going into another? But that's the thing. They take them away and put them in the system, which is a more even toxic situation.
But it's possible that maybe there is somebody in the family. We don't know the full scope of the situation. It's possible that maybe the kids went to somebody in the family while she get herself together. And hopefully that is what happened while she get herself together. But I do think maybe for at least a temporary amount of time, she did need her kids taken away from her. Yeah.
Because like you said, she's so stressed out. She needs a break. She clearly needs a break.
Maybe.
Before she break her son's face, like she said. But anyways, so...
Petty Betty! Y'all will soon find out she's the petty one.
Let's switch gears. A lot of times when we see mothers who act out the way that she did, on camera, a lot of times those same type of behaviors, a lot of times I know we've seen before where you have comedians and things like that, they have the angry black mama, the angry black woman, and all those things actually come from seeing these type of behaviors. I just kind of want to know, like, what do y'all think about how black women are portrayed, especially in a case where it's the angry black mama and all that. How do you feel about that? And then it's kind of like when you see this type of stuff.
Yeah, I don't like it because it's true, but not to everybody. But it just gets applied to us as a whole. Like,
what, angry black woman?
Yeah, like we're not all like that. Because for example, like with some people, that video was not a shock, and it's like, why is that not a shock to everybody? Like, how are we not outraged about this? But it's because, my mama, she beat my age, or my mama, she slapped me in my
But
mouth.
I never got whoopings. Like, I'm actually not an angry, well, I used to be angry.
I'm sure you
heard. I used to be angry. But I wouldn't, I'm not an angry black woman when it comes to, like, kids and stuff like that. Certain situations, I really don't even feel like it take that much aggression. Like, my anger will come from a different place, but I definitely have been called an angry black woman. But to be honest, it ain't women.
But no, I think what she's saying is like when it comes to like black comedy, like one of the main running jokes is, I didn't do this when I grew up, or I learned this lesson because my mama didn't play that. We always say, my mama didn't play that. What that mean? Your mama didn't play that because what?
She gonna whoop you.
My granny sent me to get that switch off that tree. I always had to go fetch my switch. And it's like, where do y'all think this come from?
It come from what we saw.
And it's like, we normalize these things, and it's just like, no, this is not normal. It is not okay. And it's a problem, and it's not funny. And it is that serious.
So y'all feel like when, so you feel like when you,
what?
Hold on. So you feel like we beat our kids solely just because we were beaten from slavery?
Yeah.
And like our grandmothers beat us because they were
that's what we learned. That's what we learned
that behavior.
Like who told us that? Like, where did we get the idea to fetch switching to?
But I've noticed a lot of young mothers now, they don't even whip their kids, but their kids still bad, and they still do way worse stuff than people who got whoopings.
I mean, that's cool, that's fine,
Yeah.
but we're talking about, I mean,
I'm like, hold on.
You
where is going?
Yeah.
Because, I was not, I don't know. I mean, I don't see nothing was wrong with it because I think I can honestly relate to, maybe that is why, I guess. Why I can say I can relate to why she handled the situation that way. I guess, I don't know.
I mean, and I guess, for some people, they, they refer to, for those who are Christian, just depending on your faith, go back to, sparing the rod, spoiling the child.
Yeah, so, that's what.
Some people take it from there, but at the same time, and not to get like too religious or anything, but at the same time, you're not supposed to provoke your children to anger. So I mean, to wrath. So with discipline, I mean, I know we kind of went back to what we originally was talking about.
I was just trying to understand it.
But I mean, some of it, the way I think we have normalized it, that that's the way to get things done. I think it do stem from slavery, and then the thing was the whooping and the stuff that went on in slavery. Some of that they took it from saying it was okay because of the Bible. So it's like, I think with the fact that especially again in our community, the Black community, that we have accepted whoopings and beatings for so long, too, it's almost to the point that Black mothers have become the butt of the joke. I'm pretty sure, I know we all have seen plenty of times where comedians, the punchline or beat a big mama, whoop they behind, or not my mama, all that. I think that because, comedians have made it such a joke that it's almost like we are like becoming the reality of the stereotypes that they're putting out there. And it's so many people that's laughing at us. We laughing at our own self. And that is truly a problem when we see these type of behaviors. Instead of trying to find a way to stop it or change it, we begin to laugh at what's going on and just accept it. What y'all think?
I totally agree. We all have this thing where we're like, find the humor in a joke. And I personally feel like if the joke isn't just right there on front page, then it's not funny. Like, you're taking something that's not funny, and to make it less painful, you're turning it into a joke. I do recognize and I do understand that a lot of our trials and tribulations and our past pains are now somehow they've become jokes, and I personally feel like it was done this way by design. I do, because it's just,
that is true. Now that you say that, even think about it, because they don't make jokes about the Jewish. They definitely don't make jokes about anything that's close to that, and how white people were beaten and tortured and Jews were, all that stuff. I don't know the full story. Yeah, I don't know the full story of that, because I ain't even gonna lie, history was not my class. But I will know, I can't say that no part of that do they find any humor in. I don't even hear any Irish or Jewish or any type of Caucasian individuals at all talk about that.
The thing is, I think if it is said, it's amongst their own communities and they keep it under wraps.
Right.
But
we got to get on Instagram and get on Facebook and make jokes about each other and just have a good old kiki, and it's just like, I just feel like it makes us look so pathetic. I feel like it's so pathetic because, like, we do not understand that these negative connotations and these negative stereotypes, these were bred into us. These things were given to us. That's not who we naturally are. And that's why, those of us that don't live up to those stereotypes, that's why we are so repulsed and so irritated and so pissed off by it, because it's like, why? It's like you said, you are essentially accepting it. You're accepting it and you're making it okay by making it funny.
I definitely do agree that we need to make it more serious. I come from a point of view of when I'm addressing certain situations, I will always be more, I don't want to even say neutral, but more understanding of certain things, only because I want it to be understood how what I want to be conveyed. So I want to really say that I feel like we as Black people completely have to stop allowing it to be okay for other people to talk about how we are as a people. We should not be okay with someone else saying, oh, well, Black people, or, oh, well, y'all be mad about, or I just feel like we shouldn't. Comedians shouldn't. We shouldn't. But as a people, that has to be something we come together with all together. I really do feel like when you come off combative with it, like if you come off talking to our people, Black people, combative, they don't intake what we're saying. So I really do believe that it is very important that we come together as people and allow our own community to be our own laughing jokes. It's not okay for people to even think that they could say certain stuff about how black people are, or how we're raised, or and we shouldn't allow jokes to be amongst other people and allow it to be okay either. I really do feel like
for some reason, I know I don't want to like go too deep into it, but for some reason, you saying this kind of made me think of the word nigga. Like, it's kind of like, it was a situation that was hurtful, harmful, was said to us,
but we
said about us. Then we started embracing it, and then now it's funny, and everybody can just say it and just nigga, and then we take it and be like, oh well, we should embrace it. We should. I mean, as long as they don't say it. As long as they don't say it, and it's kind of like, oh, go ahead.
But for us, nigga is a word of ignorance. So anybody that thinks it's okay to say the word nigga, you're not even making it.
You cannot be ignorant.
No, but I'm saying you're not. At this point, if a white person say nigga, you're the nigga. Like, you really just made an ass of yourself because it's you. You sound dumb. So to be honest, I personally see that's how I see that. That in particular, that one thing, to me, I don't feel like it's okay that it's ever a word to be used, but I can't lie and say I don't say it, because I say it all the time. And that's just my demeanor. That's how I grew up. I can't help it.
That's what we're saying. Like, that was passed down to you.
But, yeah.
That was passed down to you, and it was normalized, and it turned into.
But what I'm saying is it's an ignorant word. So regardless of the fact, if you're not mature enough or you are that ignorant to even allow it to come out of your mouth, then that's that. You're ignorant. You're just an ignorant individual.
I feel like ignorant is loosely used. True ignorance is not knowing.
Like, we know what that word means.
Today, it's not knowing.
Like,
you can Google anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not knowing. I feel like it's not knowing that you're the dummy. That's the ignorance I'm referring to. Whoever's saying it. Because at the point where you
why is a white person saying it? Why are they ignorant if we have, okay, so with this N-word thing, it originally came in the form of an ER, right? We know the N-word in the form of ER. We somehow convinced ourselves that if we take the ER off and put an A there, then we took our power back. That's our word now. And I personally want to know who sold us that idea, because I do not think that we came up with on our own. I think that word was pushed on us negatively. And I feel like the same people who gave us the ER word gave us the A word and sold us the idea that here's your word of empowerment. And we are walking around here just loosely and proudly saying, oh, we can say it, you can't. And it's like, what? We create all this stuff, but we can't create a word. We had to take a word that was so painful and so negative and feel somehow can trick ourselves into believing that
it's okay.
It's now a word of empowerment. That's a word of brotherhood. And
I think
I understand it. I don't know.
I think just what you're trying to say, Kendra, is it was negative.
It still is negative.
It is negative, and it will always be negative.
The ER and the A
don't make it, it don't make it better, And I mean, I think, if you are, especially a person who listens to rap, hip hop, a certain type of music, you just kind of be conditioned to kind of, that's just what you say in it, and it's just that whole thing of not being sensitive. I just feel like the main thing is, to educate ourselves, be sensitive of our own community and what we put out.
Definitely.
And watch the energy that we put out about ourselves. Don't expect somebody else to not offend when we putting out the wrong thing. That's just the main thing that I feel about the whole thing.
Okay. So coming back around to our topic of discipline, what would your take be on discipline, like physically discipline, or what would be your ideal? What would your ideal map look like of discipline?
I personally hope when I have children, I do not gotta even talk to them. I hope I teach them as they grow up, how to be mannerable, how to be respectful, how to listen. I hope that I have the maturity in myself to know what to tell them at the right times. I know I won't have all the answers. I know that it's not going to go exactly how I think it's going to be, but I really hope when I do have kids, I'm in a mental state to where I'll be able to take the time to not even have to worry about yelling, screaming, or any of that, and I could literally just be calm with my kids, and they'll be calm kids.
We briefly talked about this before, and to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me like you were basically saying that like a mom isn't really in control of her child being a good or bad child. Do you think that?
That's true. I don't believe you have the control to say what kind of kid you're going to have. You don't know. I think it comes to, I really don't. I just know from growing up and who I am today, and some of the things I could say, if my mother had did this, it would be different. But in reality, when you see my niece, she could be a whole nother kid. The way her mother set up, the way we set up, she's quiet. My niece is quiet. She doesn't even talk. And that's not us. You see how loud I am. She doesn't talk. She chills. She's real calm. She has a really respectful manner about her. She's not a loud person. And it has nothing to do with us.
I think that, every person, every single person, every individual that comes to this earth, to this world, is going to come with their own individual personality. People have different temperaments, That's just who we are. And I think that some parents get so stuck on, okay, if I do it this way, I'm going to have this type of child.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You just have to know in your mind that is a whole different person who's going to have their own personality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like the foundation of your rearing and your teaching, and if you're like being nurturing, what you expose them to does play a factor into who they become.
From day one.
It is a factor. I mean, you'll never be able to create this perfect person because they just have to be. People have to be.
They're gonna grow into who they want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, and some of the things is some of the things that may at one phase of their life may seem like something that's aggravating or something you don't desire. Let's say you have a child. A child that has a very bodacious and outspoken, impulsive personality. That might not be something that you really want for your child to have, but that might be something that carries them on to their destiny and what they really need to do.
Yes, so you have to allow them to be who they are.
You do. You have to allow them to be who they are. Because, everybody have their own individual assignment. Yeah. But at the same time, in raising them, I do think you have to maintain a sense of, you have to maintain love. You can't just, be beating them, being so controlling with them. You still have to maintain love. You still have to nurture. You still have to be able to you have to be able to talk to your kids. You have to be able to mentor your kids. You have to be the example. Your child should not want to say or have in their heart that they they see somebody else as the ideal of parenting or whatever. You should be the ideal. You should be the example.
Yeah.
You know, the first person I believe in my mind, in my heart, if I want my daughter to say, I want to be like my mama when I grow up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want my daughter to ever say, I don't want to be nothing like my mama. If my child says that, I have failed.
Thank you.
I have failed.
Thank you. And that is something that I do not feel like we do, again, in our community. We do not take accountability for how our children turn out. Now, like y'all were saying, like, and I understand that you cannot control totally how a child turns out and what path they go on, but you have a part to play in that child's behavior. The behavior that they display throughout their childhood and on to adulthood, because in adulthood, yes, you do still have behavior. But I asked that question because I wanted to know how y'all feel about. I feel like we do, when it comes to the word discipline. Even with discipline, I feel like we have a lack of understanding when it comes to discipline. I feel like in our community, when we hear discipline, all we can think about is physical discipline. Like, we don't think about discipline in the aspect of how you're rearing up your child, the values that you're teaching to this child, the standards that you're putting before this child. I don't think that we take the time to do those things. I feel like, and I have this thing now where I feel like a lot of the moms in our community, they feel like because they kept their child clothed, they kept their child fed, and they kept a roof over their head, that they raised their child. No, you kept your child alive. You did not raise your child if you didn't put those tools and the foundation. And especially when we get overwhelmed with multiple children, we get overwhelmed with understanding that each child that you have is their own individual person, and you have to take the time and you have to have the capability to help and guide and teach each and every individual child that you have.
Lord bless you, honey.
So
I think I might have one son because I don't got time. That's all I want is one son, and that's just why. Because my biggest fear is not being able to. I just feel like that. Oh God, it comes for me. That just comes with so much. Like everything you just said, it comes with so much because that's a really big responsibility. Like you have. I just, it's a lot to raise a child, and parents before I don't think they really caught the concept of it, but that's a whole nother place. So I'm just gonna say it's a lot.
It is a lot.
And I'm really, I can completely understand where you coming from.
Not to linger too much on it, but when you just said that depending on your child and their personality, that you have to raise them, you kind of have to customize the way you're raising each child based on that particular child's needs. I think sometimes that people don't want to be honest, and I mean this can be a good or a bad thing. Right now we were speaking on the positive side of that, but it could be a negative thing because sometimes kids get different parents from out of one parent. And what I mean by that, sometimes parents, have an ideal about how they want their children to be. And one child may display that while the other child don't display those type of behaviors. And sometimes in a situation where it's not a person who has strong parenting skills, sometimes they may favor one or the other, and in that case you're getting a different parent. It's possible to be in a home and live with one person, but depending on what was put out and the love that you received of that you can feel like you got a whole different parent.
Yep.
That is so true. That is true.
Yeah.
Because you will definitely have 3 kids in one room and say, no, Mom, you was way different with me.
Yeah.
No, Mom, you was way different with me.
That
and
is
no,
very
Mom,
true.
that's very true.
That is very true. And then the thing is, that doesn't come out until
grown.
And then somebody be mad, like, well, your mama was this way with you, but she was that way with me, you know?
Yeah,
But,
that is so true.
you know, so you just have to be careful of all those things that, maybe I have to customize a little bit with this, or maybe with this one I can talk a little more, maybe with this one I just have to show them, but at the same time, that equally across the board, I'm attending to each one in a way that, I'm pouring into them in a loving, that's just my theme, love and nurture, in a loving and nurturing way.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like you still have to maintain that across the board.
Are you looking forward to motherhood?
Oh, I have a long time coming, honey. Long time coming.
I'm excited about it. Like I said, my baby is 3 months now, and I am really, really excited about this journey. I'm excited about this journey, and I just, as she grow up, I just wanna of course I want to do it all right, but I know that I won't do it all right. But I just want to be the best mom that I can be. And that's just point blank, period. And wisdom, in my opinion, is looking at the mistakes that others have done, whether it's on the TV, even maybe the way I was raised, some things that I felt like might have not been the right way. Look at those things and take it and say, that isn't how I want to raise my daughter.
That's even with the lady though. Even like what she did, you may have been having a hard day at work and have to get a phone call home from your kid's school and see something like that and have to deal with that kind of situation. And maybe it is a mother who would have thought, let me go up there and beat his behind, and maybe then he'll understand. And it may be a mother out there now who's like, dang, I didn't even think to look and be like, could something really be going on with my child in his head, in his state of mind? Now I could take my baby to counseling and see what really could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what could have came of it. That situation could have been just for something like that, for a parent who's at home trying their hardest to take care of a child who has been acting up in school, and now they'll know how to handle it. I just hope when I have kids that I'm in a good mental place. I really believe that mental health is the most important thing.
Definitely.
Like with everything that I've gone through in life, I never knew how important it was to have your mind right. What it really meant to have a good mental state, to be at a good place in your head before you can live life. Because if you're not in a good mental space, you're not even living. You're really in a really dark place. And it will really hold you back from a lot of things that you can have. And it's all right there in front of you. But if your mind's not right, you're never going to get there. So I really hope that people in general, they do take the time and get help. If you need it and you feel like it's something that you're not able to handle on your own, talk to somebody. Find somebody who has sound advice. Not just anybody. Every conversation isn't for everybody.
Yeah, back to this video of the mom. I feel like if she was in a situation, like you said, where she was stressed out and she was overwhelmed, what she could have done was the same person who was following her, recording her with the phone, because I feel like that was her friend. I don't know. But maybe that was her friend. What she could have done, she could have called her friend and say, hey girl, these kids stressing me out. Can you please keep my kids for a minute? I need a little bit of break. And if you can run to the school with her to go be her child and chase her with the phone, you can help her. And that's another thing. We, like I said earlier, this whole thing about don't tell me how to raise my kids. No. We have to get out of that. Like, we are supposed to be there for each other and to uplift each other and to encourage each other. And we're supposed to push each other towards positive decisions. None of my friends would have followed me to my son's school and watched me do that.
Definitely wouldn't have been recording nothing.
So that's another thing. You have to watch the people that are around you. You have to watch the people who you have around your children. You have to watch how other people raise their children, because they can put certain things off onto you and put certain beliefs onto you that are not okay. But lastly, I'll say when it comes to physically disciplining your children, I have learned, and it's something that I have learned, so this is why I can speak on it. What I have learned is if you ever have to physically discipline your child, do not do it when you're stressed out, when you got an attitude, when you're angry, or even right when they're doing something. Like if your child done wrote on your wall, or they done broke the china cabinet, do not touch that child right then and there, because you can possibly
hurt them.
You can hurt them. Like we have to understand that we are adults and these are little babies. Like they cannot physically take that. And like there's so many cases about mothers who are beating their children and they hit them the wrong way. So just put your child somewhere, go sit down, go calm down, and call them to you about 20-30 minutes later and explain to them what they did. And if you have to pop them, then do that. But do not put your hands on your child, period. But do not spank your child in the heat of the moment. That's all I have to say about that when it comes to discipline.
I don't have nothing to say about no discipline. How you either gonna beat them or you're not. But no, I think most of the time you actually can talk to them, and hopefully you don't have to result in beating them. I can understand if you beat them. I'm not the one to say, oh no, don't beat your kids. No, it can happen.
I'm not saying
and
that.
it can happen.
Yeah.
But just be mindful of the situation. Definitely be mindful of how you're going about it. Make sure that it's the right thing to do. We don't not want to see I personally don't like seeing a black mother on any type of social media, even in that light.
Right, yes.
So for me, it's different. I don't like seeing it. I hate the fact that, it's her. To be honest, I really hate that it was a black woman that, oh God, that hurts me. But, I hope that she gets help, and I hope that there's somebody there with her that can show her that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and whatever situation she's in or whatever she had going on, it gets better for her.
Yeah, and I guess lastly, I'll just say that, you just have to be mindful of the consequence. If what you're about to do to your child is something that when you think about it is going too far, take a breather. Take a breather because it's not worth it. And the main thing is to make sure you're teaching throughout the process. Make sure you're constantly teaching. Make sure it's just not a quick reaction.
Yeah.
Just love your children with all your heart, man.
The little babies.
Everybody is not blessed or fortunate to have children. And they are a blessing. They are a part of you. They are your legacy. Our children are our legacy. And the things that we instill in them, they're going to go to the next generation, and then that's going to the next generation and the next generation. So you have to be mindful of what you're putting out, and just how you're steering and raising them. And that's just the main thing that I have about the whole discipline thing.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Well, we are so glad that we got this conversation out. If you made it to the end of this video, leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you thought. We'll have some more videos coming up soon. If there's anything in particular that you want us to talk about, let us know down in the comments, and we will talk to y'all later.
Like, share, comment.
Yes, like, share,
comment. Yeah.